And then we've kind of transitioned over the last couple iterations of SQL Server to have a more power user tool like Report Builder. Report Builder is a tool that allows end users to have just about all the same functionality that the developer would have when they're developing in Visual Studio, but it simplifies it and it makes a lot of the things easier to find. It gives more of an office look and feel to building out reports. So they actually have whenever they launch Report Builder, it looks like they're working in Office, so it's something they're very familiar with. And it makes life a lot easier. There's things like report parts that they're able to consume inside Report Builder, and it makes it so that they can actually take pieces of a report that a developer created and add it to their own. So a lot of the same functionality is carried over there, but in a much more easy to understand tool to develop in. Some disadvantages, of course, by using that end user reporting tool, you can only work on one report at a time, and there's a few other things as well. So those have been the two traditional ways of building reports in the past. With the release of SQL Server 2012, that's been a while now, but since 2012, there was a new type of reporting tool, and this is the code name for it, but it's now called PowerView. Project Crescent was the code name for it. PowerView is really for anybody. Like I said, if your users can do pivot tables, then they can do PowerView. It's a highly interactive visual experience, and it's really is used for data exploration. They're able to bring those reports bring those data elements into a PowerView report and create some very, very impressive reports. Okay, now this is more of an end user tool because it is so simple to do. You want to hand it off to them so that they can start creating these reports on their own. And it's also going to allow them to export to other presentation layer tools like PowerPoint. So when I purposely said PowerPoint here, you can actually export PowerView reports into PowerPoint so that they can make it part of their presentations to their board, for example. Okay? So how is PowerView different from the traditional methods of reporting? Well, it doesn't quite have the pixel-perfect reporting. And again, when I say pixel-perfect, that means I'm able to highly customize my report so that I can get it exactly in the spot I want, and I can rename any column I see, and I can change any colors that I see as well. PowerView has some customizable features, but it's a little limiting. PowerView is not that pixel-perfect reporting tool where I can change column names and I can change colors. You can change colors to a point, but you also are a little bit limited there as well. So there are some differences here, and you'll see quite a bit of differences whenever we get actually into the reporting tool itself. Okay. All right, so let's now talk about requirements. So what do you need to do PowerView? It's nice that we know what it is now. It's a highly interactive tool, which is easy to do. I told you an end user can do it. They don't have to be a power user. What is required to do PowerView? So this is my slide here, or basically a slide here, that goes through the different possible paths that you can use to build out a PowerView solution. So the first path, the more traditional path, is first of all you have to have SQL Server 2012. So 2012 is a must. And then the second is SharePoint 2010. It's Enterprise. So it's actually SQL Server 2012, Service Pack 1, and SharePoint 2010 Enterprise. Now, of course, if you have 2013 Enterprise, that works as well. But the bare minimum is that you need to have SharePoint 2010. Okay. You also were required to have Silverlight. All of the functionality that's built into PowerView as of right now, and there's potential for this to change, but as of right now, it does require that you use Silverlight. If you're unfamiliar with Silverlight, it's basically Microsoft's version of Flash. But that's how you're able to actually build reports, and that's how you're able to deliver reports to your users so they can view them. So Silverlight is part of the actual building experience. So anytime you're building a report, it's on top of a Silverlight solution. And then anytime a user views a report, it's also using Silverlight 5. Okay. So that's the first path. That's been the path of how you would create PowerView reports initially. When PowerView was first brought out, that was how you had to do it. But within the last, I guess it's been the last 6 months or so, there's a new path, a new way to do PowerView reports, and that's using Excel 2013. So Excel 2000, or really Office 2013, is pretty new to most folks. So I would imagine a very small percentage of you actually are using Office 2013. But if you do have Office 2013, the Power View functionality is actually built into Office or built into Excel. So no longer do you have to have SharePoint. You can simply build out your own Power View reports from inside of Excel 2013. It does, however, still require that you use Silverlight. So Silverlight does have to be downloaded to do Power View inside of Excel. But the ultimate goal there, of course, is to build out those Power View reports. Now, those are more of the system requirements. Let's talk about things like data source requirements. So what kind of requirements would I have to actually pull in data into Power View? Okay, so we talked about system requirements, those being you have to have SQL Server 2012 if you're trying to make more of an enterprise solution where others can see it in SharePoint. And then we talked about more the personal solution where I can create my own personal Power View reports would be the Excel 2013 option. Now let's talk about data. So as of right now, there's only two types of data sources that can be used to pull into Power View. One of which is a BI semantic model, a tabular model that you've created. Okay, so this is the new SQL Server 2012 version of Analysis Services. If you create a tabular model, you can then deploy out a data source of a tabular model to SharePoint and then use that to build Power View reports on. The other option, which I've seen be the most popular option right now, and this is what I'm going to demo for you later, is to publish a PowerPivot workbook into SharePoint. The benefit of doing this is you can have this all driven by your end user. The end user or power user could build out a Power View report or PowerPivot workbook where they do all their modeling and bring together their multiple data sources. They deploy that workbook off to the SharePoint library, and then they can build a Power View report on top of it. Okay, so either way, and you'll see here I have a special note there that says that the multidimensional versions of Analysis Services will soon, it's probably going to be the next version of SQL Server, will allow you to actually build reports on multidimensional as well. So if you're unfamiliar with the new versions of Analysis Services in 2012, there's really two of them. Multidimensional is the one that you're used to, and you probably have built cubes on previously. And then the new method is tabular, which is basically PowerPivot for the server. Okay. Now, as of right now, like I just said, multidimensional is not available. There is a customer preview out on the web that you can download that will show you that you will eventually be able to do multidimensional data sources in Power View. But as of right now, for current releases, it's not possible. Now, under the covers, what happens is it uses a query language called DAX.